Hello, everyone. We're about to start in about 3 minutes. Thank you so much for joining today. All right, it is 4:30 and let me just check and see if anyone is here. I'll wait about 5 minutes for everyone to join. And then we'll get started. So if you have any questions, please, you can go ahead and email me. I'll put it in the chat. Okay, everyone, looks like we have 2 viewers. Yay! We are just waiting until the 5-minute mark, just giving some people some time to join in. And then we'll get started. If, again, you have any questions that you want me to answer, you can ask in the chat or you can shoot me an email. and I'll be more than happy to open it up and check it out and go over it with you. All right, looks like we have about a minute left. And then we will get started. Looks like we have 2 viewers. Hi, everyone. This session is going to be 45 minutes long. So we will wrap at 5:15 Central Time. So that's in about 40 minutes, give or take. I just want to thank you so much for joining today. Again, if you have any questions, I'll put the email in the chat. So you can send me the email, or you can type it out in the chat the best that you can, and just shoot me an email your problem. There we go. So just send on over an email and we can get started. In the meantime, today we can talk about a variety of things. This again is the algebra section. So if you're struggling with algebra 1, algebra 2, algebraic reasoning, college algebra, pre-algebra, this is the session for you. So I'm going to check the email and see if I have any messages or any emails from anyone regarding any questions they may have. Looks like we don't have any, and that's fine. So what we'll do then is we'll go over the general basics of algebra. So we'll start with, let's start with one-step equations. And so I'll give you an example of a one-step equation, and then we can do multi-step a little bit later. But I've noticed that for all students in algebra, if this is not a topic that is really, really hammered down, it is very, very hard for them to understand the next pieces of algebra. So we'll just start with a very, very straightforward question. And that is, that is going to be 26 equals 8 plus b. And so this is a one-step equation because it only has one type of math that we are doing here. So all we're doing is we're adding v or 8 to each other. So we're going to solve this in one step. And so to do that in algebra, the main thing that you want to do is you want to isolate your variable, which is your letter, on its own. So there's a letter here, and that is v, right? And we want v by itself. All that means is that at the very end, we want to have v equals something, right? Right now, the reason why we cannot get v by, the reason why v is not by itself is because of this 8 right here, right? So we have to get rid of the 8 to get v alone, right? So when we look at this problem, it says 26 equals 8 plus v. So what's happening right now is that 8 is being added to v. And the reason why I know that is because there is no sign in front of the 8. If there's no negative sign, it's automatically a positive. So if the 8 is being added, if I want to get v by itself, I have to undo the math that is happening to it. So 8 is being added to v, so I have to get rid of the 8 by subtracting it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to subtract 8 here. And with algebra or any type of equation, if you do something to one side, you must do it to the other. So if I'm going to subtract 8 from this side of the equal sign, I have to also subtract 8 here on the other side. That's all I'm saying. So you'll do that math. We're going to keep our equal sign. 8 minus 8 actually ends up canceling because the equals 0. We didn't really do much with the v. We left it there, so we're just going to bring that down. So we have v. And then 26 minus 8 is 18. So in this equation, we have v equals 18, and this would be your final answer. So that's what we mean when we say one step. It only took us one step to solve this particular problem. We can do another example, and we'll make this one a little bit more complicated. So this one is going to be negative 15 plus n equals negative 9. So when we start throwing negatives into the problem, it does make things a little bit complicated, but still very, very straightforward in terms of the process. It's the same concept. At the very end here, we want to have n equals something, right? That's at the very end. And so to do this, we're going to go ahead and divide our equal sign into two sides. So we have two sides here, and I realize that on one side, I have a negative 15 being added to n. So if I want to get rid of that negative 15, I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to have a 15, sorry, being minused by n. So what I'm going to do is, since the 15 is being subtracted here because of this negative, I'm going to go ahead and add it. So you're going to add 15 to one side. And don't forget, if you add 15 to one side of the equal sign is what I'm talking about, you have to do it to the other side. So we're going to go ahead and add 15 to the other side. So when we do this math, negative 15 plus 15, that actually ends up canceling to 0. So we don't need it anymore. And then we still have our n. We're bringing it down. It's a positive n, so we'll keep it positive. And then we'll do negative 9 plus 15. A way you can think about this is 15, positive 15 minus 9, if you're not sure how to add and subtract negative numbers. So the answer to this is going to be a positive 6. So n equals 6 is our final answer. All right, and we'll try one more just for fun, just to make sure we get everything. Uh-oh, it's like my screen isn't showing up all the way, so I'll be mindful of that. All right, so let's try one more example. And this one is going to be division. So we'll do negative 6 equals b over 18. All right. So this one is very similar. However, instead of doing addition and subtraction, in this case, we're going to be doing some type of multiplication or division. The reason why I know it's division is because of this little fraction here. They're saying negative 6 equals b divided by 18. All right, so similar situation going on here. We have two sides of the equal sign, the left and the right. And eventually we want to get this b by itself, right? At the very end, we want it to be b equals something. It doesn't matter if you put b equals first or b equals second. It doesn't really matter as long as you know b needs to equal something. So if we see on this side of the equation that b is being divided by 18, we have to undo what is happening to b to get it by itself. So all we need to do is, if something is being divided and to undo it, we have to multiply it. So we're just going to multiply this side by 18, and we'll do the same on this side, 18. So, and I'll make this so it's a little bit cleaner to read. So 18 times negative 6 on one side, and we have multiplied 18 by the other side. Again, whenever we have something being undone, in this case, 18 times 18 is not 0. Only when you add opposites, you actually get 0. Negative 18 plus 18 would be 0, like we did in the previous example. But for this one, we are just multiplying 18 by 18. We're multiplying 18 over 18. And so all that does is cancels these two out. So now we're actually left with our b, and that b, as you can see, can be brought down here. We no longer have 18 to deal with. And then we have 18 times negative 6. So if you're not sure how to multiply, of course your teacher could say use a calculator, but we can just go to old school multiplying, which is just 18 times negative 6. Oops, and I'll make that cleaner. So 8 times 6 is 48. Put your 8 down here, put your 4 up here. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So it's 108, but because we multiplied by a negative, you have to bring your negative back in there. So your answer should be b equals negative 108. All right. Not bad, right? Okay, so we have done one-step equations, meaning we only needed one type of arithmetic to solve the answer, right? So let's go ahead and solve two-step equations. Two-step equations are a little different because we're just doing 2 steps instead of just one. And so I'm going to start with this example. R equals, oops, not R equals, R over 10 plus 4 equals 5. Okay. So when solving two-step equations, you have to be very mindful of the math that's going on. So it looks like we have some division going on here with that 10. R is being divided by 10. And then it looks like we're also adding 4. So R divided by 10 plus 4 equals 5. You want to be very careful here. You want to start with the easiest type of math to do. The way I think about it is if we have PEMDAS, we know that P is parentheses, we know that E is exponents, M is multiplication, D is division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. We actually want to do the reverse when we are trying to solve for a variable or figure out what R equals or X equals. So you start with either the subtraction or the addition available to you, then you do the division, then you go to the multiplication, then you deal with the exponents, and then you deal with the parentheses. That's how I like to think about it. So in this case, we have some division and we have some addition. Based on this green section here of using PEMDAS in reverse, we're going to start with the addition since that's what we have first. So what I mean by that is we're going to split our equal sign down the middle like we normally do. And then all we're going to do is start with the 4. Since it's being added, we're going to subtract it. And that's our first step, right? Normally it would be done here based on our prior examples of one-step equations, but these are 2 steps, right? So once we do that, we can bring down our R10 or R over 10 because we're still going to need it. We no longer need this 4, and that's because we subtracted it, right? So we can go ahead and cross that out. We have our equal sign still. Make that neater. And then 5 minus 4, because if you do minus 4 on one side of the equal sign, you must do it to the other side of the equal sign, and you'll get 1. Okay, so that's our first step. This is a 2-step equation. So now all we have left is some division. And so the opposite of division is multiplication. We want to undo what's happening to R. So R is being divided by 10. To get rid of that 10, we have to multiply by 10. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll multiply both sides of the equal sign. Okay? When we do that, we get the 10s cancel each other out because 10 divided by 10 is just 1. And then we have our R that's brought down. We still have our R. And 1 times 10 is 10. So our final answer is R equals 10. Pretty easy, right? All right, I'm gonna take a quick break and just check out the email to see if there's any questions that were sent. Okay. All right, it looks like we don't have any questions, so we can move on to the next type of topic. Or we can actually do one more example of these because that was a division one. We can also do one that has some multiplication and subtraction going on. So let's do that. Actually, I'll use the same screen because I want to revert back to that PEMDAS in reverse. All right, so the next example that we're going to have is 4n minus 9 equals -9. Similarly here, we see what's happening to the n. The n is being multiplied by 4 and then subtracted by a 9. So the first thing we're going to do is PEMDAS in reverse. Do we have any subtraction? It looks like we do. And we're going to go ahead and split down our equal sign in half down the middle. So we have one side of the equal sign and the other side of the equal sign. And so to undo this -9 on the left side, you just need to add it. So we're going to undo this by adding it. Let me use the right colors. And don't forget, if you do something to one side of the equal sign, you must do it to the other side, like so. All right, so we'll bring our 4n down because we did not touch it. This 9 we no longer need because -9 plus 9 is 0. We still have our equal sign here. And then -9 plus 9 on this side is also 0. You might go ahead and just stop here because you're like, well, it's 0. But that's not the case just yet. We still have to solve for n, meaning at the very bottom here, we want to make sure we have n equals a number. So to do that, there's still a 4 on n. That 4 on n is just saying we are multiplying n by 4. How do we undo that? We are going to divide by 4. Okay? So 4n divided by 4, the 4's cancel, and you're left with just n. When I say cancel, 4 divided by 4 is just 1. We don't need to write 1 in front of the n because we understand that is already secretly there. So we don't need to write 1. But 0 divided by 4 ends up just being 0. So n equals 0. And that is an answer. You can have 0 as an answer. Okay. Now we're going to move on to multi-step equations. We talked about one step, which was just either subtraction and then addition, or then multiplication and then division and just solving, which is one step. We talked about 2 steps, where that can include addition and subtraction or addition and multiplication. It didn't really matter as long as there were 2 steps before you figured out what your variable equaled. And then this one is going to be called multi-step equations. And multi-step equations just mean it's not 1 step, it's not 2 step, it could be 3 or more steps before you figure out what x equals or what your variable equals. So we will start with something pretty straightforward. We'll do 2 plus 5v plus 2v equals -12. All right, so this one is pretty simple, and I will show you how to go about it. Don't forget to divide your equal sign in 2. You have left side and your right side of your equal sign. So the first step here, the first thing you want to do, believe it or not, there's 2 different things you could do. I will recommend the way that I would normally do it, just so it looks more familiar to something I've seen. And that would be first to combine like terms. All that means is if you see variables that look the same in your equation, combine them. So in this case, I see 5v and I see 2v. And to combine 5v and 2v, there's an addition between them, right? There's an addition sign there. I kind of wrote over it. But when we see that, all we're just saying to combine it is to add them together. 5v plus 2v will be 7v. So I'm going to bring down my 2 again because I still need it. And it's going to be 7v. And that's going to equal -12. Okay. Let's continue splitting our equal sign down the middle. This is what I mean when I say this looks more familiar. We've seen this in our multi-step and single-step, one-step, equations. And this just looks more familiar to me. I have a variable and I have a number. So again, we're going to do the reverse PEMDAS. Do we have any subtraction? Nope. Do we have any addition? Yes, we do have some addition, so we'll start there. So on this side of the equation, on the left side here, it looks like we have a 2, and so it's being added to v, 7v. So to undo the 2, we're going to subtract it since it's being added. Don't forget, if you do one thing to the one side, if you do some type of math to the left side of the equal sign, you must do the same type of math to the other side of the equal sign. So when you do that, these 2's cancel out, and so you're left with 7v on the left side, and that's going to equal -12 minus 2. Again, you could use a calculator if you want, but all you're seeing here is that your number is becoming more negative. So it's going to be -14. Okay, We're still not done. We have 7v equals negative 14. We have a 7 attached to the v. That 7 just means it's being multiplied by the v. To undo a multiplication, you divide. So we're going to go ahead and divide the left side by 7. And again, don't forget to do it to the right side as well of your equal sign. And I'll draw that down so we see it. Okay, so 7v divided by 7, these cancel out, making it 1 or just v. And that's going to equal negative 14 divided by 7, which is negative 2. So our final answer is v equals negative 2. Okay, I think that was pretty straightforward. We'll do another one. Okay. And this one is going to have some parentheses. So this example is going to be 6 equals negative 3x2. So there's 2 ways to do these. I'll show you both ways, and you are more than welcome to choose which way works best for you. So the way you could think about it is that, again, we're going to need our equal sign split in 2. And it looks like x has some things going on with it. Right now, it looks like it's negative 3 times x plus 2. In this particular problem, the reason why it's not really easy to use PEMDAS right off the bat is because we have parentheses. And so the best thing that you can do is FOIL to get rid of the parentheses. When you FOIL, all you're doing is you're taking that number on the outside, that negative 3, and you're multiplying it inside to every number that you have on the inside of the parentheses. So when we do that, we'll get 6 equals negative 3 times x is just negative 3x, and negative 3 times positive 2 is just negative 6. So this is your new equation. And this one looks familiar too, right? Looks like some of the ones we've been doing. So this is the way that I would do it. I would just FOIL to start. But again, I'll show you another way that you could do it, depending on the problem. So similarly here, we still have our equal sign split in 2. We're going to go ahead and undo what's happening to x, starting with reverse PEMDAS. It looks like we do have some subtraction on that's happening to the x. It's minus 6. To get rid of the minus 6, you'll just add 6 to both sides. You'll get 12 equals, oops, make sure I use the right colors. You'll get 12 equals negative 3x, and you no longer have negative 6 because you added it to make 0. We're still here trying to solve for x, and it looks like x is being multiplied by a negative 3. You want to get rid of the negative 3 because it's being multiplied, you divide it. So go ahead and divide both sides by negative 3. And you will get x equals negative 4. Don't forget that negative 3 divided by negative 3 is just 1. So these can be eliminated. And so you're left with x equals negative 4. So that's one way to solve it. Let me check if we have any questions. Uh-oh. Camera's frozen. I see it is. Let's see what I can do from this side. 1 second. Not sure why that's happening. Let me try and refresh. That doesn't do anything. Okay, did that work? Or is it still frozen? I think the screen is okay now, right? The screen is all caught up. Yeah, so the screen is good. It looks like it's now just my camera. So let's see if I can fix that. All right. Okay. I guess if the board works, we can continue, right? Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, oh, I wasn't done here. I wanted to show you quickly what the, I wanted to show you really quickly what the other alternative is to solving something like this, which is really, really straightforward. So another way to do this, so that was 6 equals negative 3x plus 2. Another way to do that would have been, instead of FOILing, what you could do instead is to just start doing some math. And all that means is it looks like x is being multiplied by this negative 3 in front, but it's also being added by the 2 on the inside of the parentheses. So if we want to go ahead and get rid of that negative 3 first, we can. We don't necessarily have to FOIL it. So negative 3, to get rid of the negative 3 here, all you're going to do is you're going to divide by the negative 3. And the reason for that is because it's being multiplied. And don't forget, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other side. So this negative 3 ends up canceling out to being just 1, right? So we can leave that. So on the right side, the right side, sorry, we still have our equal sign here. And all we have now is x plus 2. We don't need parentheses anymore. And then 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Right? So here now we can do some more math, and that is the x is being added to by the number 2. So to get rid of that 2, we're going to go and subtract by 2 on both sides. Don't forget to do both sides of math. And then we're going to go ahead and do that. So negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. This 2's cancel out because that equals 0. And so x is equal to negative 4. We get the same answer. It was just done in 2 different ways. All right, let's do one more example. So that's going to be 6 times 6v plus 6 minus 5 equals 1 plus 6b. All right, let's see, any questions before? It looks like there are no questions, and that's all right. Let me see if we have any emails. No emails sent just yet, and that's all right as well. So let's go ahead and solve this one. So this one is just as straightforward. It looks like a lot, but I promise it's not. Let's just take it step by step. For this example, we're going to use my good old method of foiling because we have some parentheses here. So we'll take this 6 and we'll FOIL it here. And we'll FOIL it here. Okay? So all that means is we're going to do 6 times 6v, which becomes 36v. And we do 6 times positive 6, which just becomes positive 36. We still have our minus 5. We still have our equal sign. Still have our 1 and our 6v. Okay, so all we did was FOIL so we can get it looking a little bit better. Now this is where we do like terms. It looks like we do have a pair of like terms on this side. We have 36v plus 36 minus v. Minus 5, sorry. 36 and 5 are actually like terms because they are both just constants. They're both numbers. So 36 minus 5 is going to be 31. So we can go ahead and do 36v. Let me use the right color, sorry. 36v, and this becomes plus 31 equals, we still have our 1 plus 6v. Okay, so this is where it gets fun. And all we're gonna do is, again, we want v's on one side, numbers on the other. We wanna get v at the very bottom here. We wanna somehow get to v equals something, right? So to do that, let's get our v's on the left side. So I have a 36v on the left and I have a 6v on the right. So all I'm gonna do is subtract the 6v here and subtract the 6v here. I'm gonna do this in one go, actually. Actually, no, I'll wait, I'll be patient. So when I do that, 6v minus 6v on this side becomes 0. I still have my equal sign. My 1 is still here. I still have my 31 as well. And so 36v minus 6v ends up being 30v. Okay, so I now have v on, I have no more v's on the right side, I only have it on the left, which is fine. Now I need to move my 31 over to the right side. So again, I'm gonna split my equal sign in two. And so on the left side here, to get rid of that 31, because it's being added to v, I need to subtract it. So there's a positive here, plus 31, let's subtract it on both sides. So we get 30v, we're gonna bring that down, we still need it, we didn't go anywhere. This cancels out because 31 minus 31 is 0. And then we still have our equal sign, 1 minus 31. This should be super straightforward. It's gonna be a negative 30, okay? So we have 30v, and I'm gonna move this over so we can see it more clear. We have 30v equals negative 30. To get v is being multiplied by 30. We know that if we want to get v by itself, we have to divide because it's being multiplied. So 30 divided by 30 here, and you do the same thing on the other side. Sorry, I used the wrong color. 30 divided by 30 becomes 1, so we're left with our v on the left. And then negative 30 divided by 30 is a negative 1. So our final answer is v equals negative 1. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. No questions? All right. So this was actually our last question of the day. The goal for today was to build a foundation and to understand the fundamentals of algebra. And the fundamentals are simply how to isolate and solve for variables. Everything else that we do in algebra is based on this particular concept. So we learned that you can have one-step equations, which are just one step of addition or one step of subtraction, one step of division or one step of multiplication before you can solve for your x or your variable value. You can refer to x as a variable because it's a number that changes. As you can see throughout the entire lesson, we learned that R can be a number 4, it could be a 5, it could be a 10. It's a variable, meaning it could change in terms of its value at any time, depending on the problem. The second thing that we learned is two-step equations. So two-step equations aren't just a single addition or a single subtraction or whatever. It's going to be two different things, whether that's addition and then subtraction, or addition and then multiplication, or division, or whatever that it might be. There's two steps before you can get what your variable is equal to, or what x is equal to. And then the last step that we figured out is that one step is easy, two step is just as easy, but then it gets a little bit more complicated when we have multi-step equations. Multi-step equations just mean that it's more than two steps before you can get to your R. We found that you have to FOIL sometimes, like for example, in this question, we had to go ahead and FOIL our number before we started. Sometimes you have to subtract first, sometimes you have to divide first. It just depends on the question and how it's established and laid out for you. We also learned that you can use PEMDAS in reverse. So PEMDAS is normally used to solve expressions. But I figured out way back when that you can also use PEMDAS in the reverse to solve for variables. What does that mean? I showed you that when we have PEMDAS, P is parentheses, E is exponents, M is multiplication, D is division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. If you go in the reverse, meaning you look at your equation and you see if you have subtraction first, you're going to start there. Start with your subtraction and do that math. This is only true when you don't have parentheses involved. If you have parentheses, the best thing you can do is FOIL to get the parentheses out of there, and then you can start this PEMDAS formula. So again, PEMDAS in reverse works, and I'm going to write a note for you, as long as, and I'll put that as an S so you guys know what that is, there is no parentheses to solve for x. So I'll write that better as well. Or any other variable. That's it. That's all for today. I will see you, if you need help with pre-cal or geometry, I'll see you in about 15 minutes. We'll start out with pre-cal and geometry lesson and homework help if you need it. If not, I will see you on Wednesday, where we'll have chemistry help at 4:30 PM CST. And we'll have, soon after that at 5:30, we'll have physics help as well. So, yep, I can't wait to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you learned a lot. And if you want to stay tuned and learn more algebra or have more help with algebra, please tune in next